When I was 6 years old, I remember the first time I truly connected with the world through the art of role playing with my older brother. Back then, we would merge two imaginations into a single story package into our bedroom. We were so loud that we occasionally shake the whole house. Our stories were usually epic battles against imaginary monsters. As the story unfolded, we gave our characters names and backstory. This was the very least one of my first moments of connecting with myself. As a child, I lived within the typical rules for my age. My parents worked Monday to Friday. I was only allowed to play PlayStation 2 on weekends and after school. I rushed through my homework only to find myself confused about how to spend the rest of my day, especially since I was so curious about how the world worked. So my brother and I decided to maximize our imaginative potential to draw the world we envision. This actually opened various doors for us to recognize the sparks within our minds, bodies, and souls, manifesting them into dialogue. Only later did we understand that this is what we call emotions. As a curious child, I wonder, why do I feel what I feel? Why is this feeling so vibrating? And why does this feeling matter when I play this role? The right questions design the right mindset. Following that spark, I pursue theater to chase new questions about life experiences that only the stage could describe. In theater, you are tested to think and to express. One day, you might be cast as a character you never even imagined. I want you to take a look at this image. This was in 2023 when my eldest brother, who happens to be an actor as well and theater director, asked me to play a villainous, manipulative, and cruel character named Reiji. Needless to say, Reiji was not your typical boy next door. He had this strange laugh. My colleagues teased me for 3 months because of how often I practiced the laugh. I realized that simply understanding Reiji's backstories was not enough. I would only be able to express a fraction of who he was. So instead of asking my brother why Reiji was the way he was, I asked Reiji himself by crafting a set of vital questions. They had to be vital because the mission was to recognize Reiji as a character and ask myself. To achieve this, I was introduced to a legendary technique called emotional memory, pioneered by the father of modern theater, Konstantin Stanislavski. This technique demands that an actor digs into their own authentic memories and past emotions to portray a character's feelings authentically on stage. It's not just about remembering an emotion. It's about recalling the four senses that active at that time: sight, sound, touch, and smell. Recalling these four sensations fully revives our past emotions and that are relevant to the character. Again, the right question designs the right mindset. Practicing emotional memory didn't just help me recognize my character. It helped me be more honest with myself. It helped me realize that what I felt wasn't just anger, but feeling provoked, It wasn't just happiness, but feeling accepted. We generally categorize emotion into 6 types: happy, sad, angry, strong or feeling confident, fearful, and calm. But as we grow older, we often allow these emotions to go unrecognized. They become passive parts of our lives without receiving the proper acknowledgement or understanding they deserve. This is what we call structure emotional neglect. Structure emotional neglect is the paradox of knowing what our emotions are, which is the 6 categories of emotions, yet systematically organizing our adult lives in a way that we ignore them, allowing our feelings to exist passively without the attention or understanding they deserve. In Indonesia, the first national adolescent mental health survey by Gajah Mada University and the University of Queensland showed that at least 1 in 3 Indonesian adolescents, about 15.5 million people, have mental health problems. And 1 in 20 have a clinical mental disorder. Why is this happening? Well, according to research in the Indonesian Journal of Global Health Research in 2024, regarding Gen Z students in Indonesia, the numbers are startling. A preliminary study found that about 47% to 80% of students experience confusion regarding their own emotions and struggle to describe what they truly feel to those closest to them. We grow up in a vast world of imagination, only for it to be replaced by the domains of adulthood. To be logical, to be rational, and to chase perfect grades. These pressures form us to form identities where we start asking the wrong question. Why is this happening to me? What if this gets worse? And what if I'm not successful? We are building self-awareness in the wrong direction. We recognize the anxiety, but we fail to see the cause, that the cause isn't always external. It's internal, closer than we think. Our inability to understand our emotions makes us fail to mitigate in the long-term negative impacts. This becomes a major issue when we enter diverse environments like a university campus. How can we empathize with a struggling friend if we are blind to the emotion surrounding ourselves? This inability to name our internal emotions is often the root of misunderstanding, group drama, and the distances created between us. This is why we must have the awareness, the ability, and most importantly, the will to practice emotional memory. Not just to dig the past, but to understand present, maximize our brand's potential, and build a connection within ourselves. To do this, I offer you a framework. Imagine when day turns to night, the world slowly falls asleep, and you are the only one awake, thinking about the burdens or problems you carry. You only have 2 choices. Fight those squads of thoughts endlessly, or embrace the feelings slowly flowing through your body. Which one are you? If you are the first, well, you are not alone. If you are the second, congratulations. Allow me to guide you through this framework. If you choose to be trapped in overthinking the red path, your brain instantly turns into a primitive defense machine. Your amygdala, the threat detection center lights up. Our ancient brains cannot distinguish between a physical threat and a social one. To the amygdala, both threaten our existence. It sends an emergency signal to the hypothalamus. And your body reacts. Your breath becomes heavy, much, much heavier. But what if you choose to control your breath? What if you ask the right questions? Imagine the good things and pause. Your brain responds by releasing a chemical cocktail designed to ensure you repeat this behavior in the future. This is what we call habit. To build emotional memory, you must build a habit. Emotional memory can take many forms: meditation, voice notes, somatic movement, or art. My personal favorite is journaling. Journaling is the perfect physical manifestation of building a tower of awareness because it pulls an abstract process and puts it out on the paper. However, journaling just to vent or to rant is just a flag or flight choice. That is why emotional memory forces you to ask questions. And the right question designs the right mindset. To combine journaling and emotional memory effectively, you must ask, first, what is the trigger? Second, what is the sensory breach? Third, the tower of what emotion is this? And the fourth is the between. In the trigger, you must remember what actually happened that day. For example, if you are having a rough meeting, if you are having an intense debate with your coworker, and then suddenly your coworker interrupts your argumentation, how does that feel? How does sensory breach work? What is your emotion to that? For example, did your face felt hot, or your jaw tighten, and your breath get caught? And recognize, what emotion is this? Is it just about today? Is it just about your coworker cutting your argumentation? Or is it about the past trauma that are going in again into your body? And then lastly, the between. How do I want to respond this facing tomorrow with a cool head? These kind of questions train your brain to say it's going to be okay. Not as empty comfort, but as a path you can actually take to feel better. These frees your prefrontal cortex from the task of suppressing or piling up those memories. I understand that life can be frustrating. You might regret praying to grow up so fast, but it is what it is. What we can do today is to realize that self-potential isn't just about IQ. It's about emotional capability, managing emotions, practicing empathy, and building social connections. The world moves fast. The technology is inevitable. And everyone is racing to be first. Maybe you don't need to do that. Maybe what you need to slow down, reevaluate, and understand yourself. Think about the moments right before you step up to the podium, face a massive challenge, or enter a fierce debate. The loudest voice in the room is usually the one inside your own head, whispering, "What if I fail?" As long as you are asking that question, you are playing defense. You are simply fighting not to lose. To flip the script, you have to start asking a much, much braver question. What can I do so that I am not afraid to fail? That changes everything. It means knowing exactly who you are and what your values are regarding of the final score. Because when you finally stop fearing the fail, you give yourself permission to actually jump, to take those leap of faith. So stop asking, what if I fail? Start asking, what can I do so that I'm not afraid to fail? Remember that little child who imagined a world of flower? That was you. The right question designs the right mindset. Thank you.